Hello, everyone. We're going to be looking at those very special times in the year that we call seasons. And I guess those are times in the year that when we notice some changes going on, such as maybe how hot or cold it is most of the time, and then maybe how the weather patterns have changed for a period of time. And then also, I think we probably notice the amount of daylight that we have each day during a certain period of the year, which we call seasons. And to help you better understand that, I've got a little presentation that I'm going to show you. It's a little PowerPoint. And at the end of that PowerPoint, I'm going to come back and introduce a couple of my animal friends to let you know that seasons are those very special times of the year when we have those changes going on. They do affect some of our animals out in nature. So bear with me while I share my screen with you. For the presentation, and as we go through my part of your virtual field trip today, I want you guys to kind of try to remember certain parts of my presentation, especially the part where it deals with the order of the seasons. Hopefully by the end of my presentation, you guys will be able to give the 4 seasons in the correct order, which that never changes. And then the real tough question, try to remember what season comes after the season of summer. Well, let's get started. The 4 seasons. You know, a season is one of 4 periods in a year. Now we know, hopefully you guys know, that there are 12 months in a year. You know what? Each season lasts about 3 months. In each season, there are changes in the temperature, meaning how hot and cold it is, the weather patterns that are basically happening in each season, whether we're getting a lot of precipitation, rain, or whether it's dry, and then even the length of daylight that we have each day. You know, some days are going to be shorter and some days are going to be longer simply because of the season that those days are in. Why do we have seasons? Well, there's one reason why that we have season is because of the Earth's position in relationship to the sun. Now we know that our Earth, our planet Earth, it moves around the sun. It orbits or revolves around the sun. And that's the relationship that they're referring to. Now, also, the seasons change as the Earth moves closer or further away from the sun. Why? Well, when you get that understanding of why, then you will understand why we have seasons. Some places are close to the center of the Earth near the equator. Now that equator is an imaginary line that scientists say actually is the halfway point between the upper half of our planet and the bottom half of our planet. It's not really a line drawn on our planet, but it's an imaginary line that goes around our planet, separating the top half from the bottom half. These places do not move closer or further away from the sun. Because of this, these places stay very warm all year round. That means there's no change in weather patterns, and therefore they don't really have seasons. Now, what are the 4 seasons? Well, the 4 seasons are these: autumn, winter, spring, and summer. Now, they're in the right order there. Autumn, and then comes winter, and then comes spring, and after spring is over, then comes summer. Then it starts all over again. It's just a recurring pattern. It's a cycle. It's a seasonal cycle. Autumn, winter, spring, summer. Then it starts again. Summer, autumn, winter, spring, and summer, all over again. Now, autumn, that is a season that also has another name. Autumn is also called fall because during this season, the leaves begin to fall from the trees. In autumn, the leaves turn colors of red, yellow, orange, and brown. The weather begins to turn colder in autumn. And we kind of look forward to that because if you remember the order of the seasons that I was repeating to you, then you know that summer comes before autumn. And here in North Texas, our summers can be very hot. So you know what? A lot of people look forward to the season of autumn or fall because we know we can have, or we're going to have some cooler temperatures. Autumn is one of my favorite seasons because during autumn, it's not too hot and it's not too cold. Now, when winter comes along, boy, something really happens because winter is the coldest time of the year. That's when we kind of get the shivers a little bit, right? Snow falls in the winter. And you know what? Meteorologists, I was watching the weather last night, and they're predicting that on Thursday, we may see, possibly going to see, some snow, which means there's a possibility that you may get to stay home. I bet that'll make a lot of people happy. All right. Ponds and lakes freeze in the winter, and we've got a little water left in our pond. And if this Thursday, if the temperature falls low enough or it gets cold enough, we're probably going to see some ice forming in our little pond. And it may even freeze over because ponds and lakes freeze over in the winter most of the time. Now, during the winter season, there's a very special holiday that we all look forward to, or most people look forward to, and that is the holiday of Christmas. It's a fun time. Now, after the cold weather leaves, there's a change coming. Spring. Spring is a season where we look forward to that so we can warm up. You know, spring, we usually get a lots of rain. We need some rain real bad right now. It's pretty dry. Now, flowers also begin to grow in the spring. The leaves begin to grow on trees. And sometimes I often think about the season of spring being called the growing season because everything starts to grow. Hey, the weather starts to warm or to get warmer. And again, spring is another one of my favorite seasons because during springtime, the weather is not too hot and it's not too cold. It's just right. And then along comes good old summer. Wow. Summer is considered to be the warmest time of the year. Because we live in North Texas, I bet we could change that warmest time and say it's the hottest time of the year because we really get pretty hot here in North Texas during the summer season. And during that time, a lot of us, we get to go swimming. Those that know how to swim, and if you don't know how to swim, hey, let's learn how to swim, okay? And be able to enjoy recreational sports on our many lakes that exist here in the state of Texas. So it's a lot of fun interacting with the water when you can do it safely. There is no school in the summer. Wow. Vacation time, unless you have to go to summer school. And let's hope you guys don't have to go to summer school. It's an excellent vacation time, okay? Now, there are some activities that maybe your teacher might be interested in having you do. For example, your teacher might get you to thinking about what are some clothes that we wear during each season, and probably would want you to be able to explain why. Also, your teacher might want you to draw a picture of the things that occur during each season. And then this would be a real big challenge. In which season is Halloween, Easter, and Thanksgiving? What season do those holidays happen? Now, I say Remembrance Day because that would even be a challenge for me because I can't remember what day or which day Remembrance Day happens on or which month it happens in. And so I'll have to do a little research into that. Now, I'm going to stop sharing my screen with you guys right now, and I'm going to get back and use my model here of the sun and the planet Earth to kind of explain why we do have seasons in a little more detail. You know, Miss Ramirez talked about our planet spinning, right? She called it rotating. Well, there's another big word I'm going to give you, and that's revolving or orbiting, because our planet not only does it spin and rotate, spin around, it also moves around the source of light and heat energy that we call the sun. Just like I have this model here. This is the sun. Here comes the planet Earth, and it's revolving or moving around the sun. And if you notice, our planet is not sitting straight up. It's tilted, right? And that tilt never changes. Now, at some point, I've got the United States marked here. Right there is the United States. Right now, the sun is really giving a lot of light and heat energy to the United States. So at this point, as the planet Earth is revolving or orbiting around the sun, we are in the season of either spring or summer. Now, it's probably summer because I can see the United States is moving to the backside and moving away. It's away. We're probably in the season of maybe fall or maybe even moving into winter, okay? That's what they meant by the distance, either closer or further away. It's because of the tilt, not because the planet is moving away, but it's because of that tilt that we call our axis, okay? Everybody got that? All right. Now, you know what? Seasons have an effect on animals too, not just on people and us wearing different clothes and being prepared for different types of weather patterns. But I've got a little animal here that this kind of animal, the three-toed box turtle, we find these over in our forest, the Post Oak Preserve. And this little box turtle right here, this is Teresa. Now, she has some friends that still live over there. And if we were walking the trails today, we probably wouldn't see one of these because you know what they're doing? They're probably sleeping in the ground somewhere because they belong to a group of animals that we call reptiles. And reptiles don't deal with cool or cold temperatures very well. You see, they are ectothermic or cold-blooded. So they don't deal with cool temperatures. So to help them stay healthy, guess what they do? They go into a deep sleep called hibernation. And they sleep until it warms up. And we know during the winter months, it gets very cold. In fact, it's the coldest time of the year. So when spring comes and it warms up, animals like Teresa that belong to the reptile group, they wake up from that deep sleep. Now, of course, she stays in the lab here, so she doesn't really get a chance to go through hibernation. She's a very good girl. She's about 10 years old, guys. All right, I'll put her up, and I got another animal I want to show you. Of course, this is not a reptile. This is an amphibian. This is Hoppy the bullfrog. Now, Hoppy the bullfrog, he's an amphibian, and he is also cold-blooded. And because he's cold-blooded, doesn't deal with cold temperatures very well. When winter comes, he's going to do the same thing that Teresa does, or animals like Teresa in the woods would do. Going to go into hibernation around the pond, maybe getting under the ground, where it will go into a deep sleep and sleep until it warms up in the season of spring. That's Hoppy Jr., okay, guys? Wow. He's doing pretty good. Now, one more thing to show you before I leave, and that is I have a granddaughter that thinks she's an artist. So one day I gave her a challenge. I said, young lady, can you draw me some trees and color them the way that they would look if they were going through seasonal change? Well, she did. For summer, she drew this tree and it looks pretty good, lots of green leaves, right? And then for fall, she drew this tree. Okay, that tree is kind of sad. Got some orange and red leaves, and some of the leaves are starting to fall to the ground. So that represents fall or autumn. And then for winter, she drew this tree, and the tree doesn't have any leaves on it because they've all been blown off by the wind or they've fallen down to the ground. Tree looks dead, doesn't it? Well, it's not really dead. It's kind of doing what Teresa's kind of animal would do, or Hoppy Jr.'s animals would do when winter comes. It goes into a state of dormancy, like hibernating, and only going to wake up when we start getting longer days, more daylight, and it begins to warm up in the season of spring. And in spring, she drew little pink blossom and a few leaves coming out, which that is the growing season. It just keeps repeating itself. Summer, autumn, fall, winter, and spring. Then it starts all over again. Well, hopefully I've helped you understand a little bit about seasonal changes.